A pleasant good evening. Welcome to the News Basket, a 45 minutes of news presentation that brings development from Liberia, Africa, and the rest of our world. I'm Esther Daku, anchoring tonight's presentation. First, the headlines. Liberian students risk denial from writing the 2024 WACS African Examination Council exam as WAEC Liberia boss discloses the government of Liberia's indebtedness to the West African Examination Council headquarters in the tune of US 5 million. Liberia National Police intensifies search in Bomi County for a 30-year-old man identified as Momo Kenneth for allegedly pouring acid on his girlfriend in Lower Town Clay District. The plenary of the Liberian Senate commences public hearing for individuals recently nominated by President Joseph Boakai as Senate Pro Tem assures Liberians of proper vetting of nominees. And away from home, Cameroonian socialite Harvey Bogda has been arrested after abuse allegations against him prompted national outrage, according to the BBC. These the actual voices of newsmakers. The news bulletin are all packaged in tonight's presentation. We're taking a short break. When we come back, we join our news center for the bulletin. Thanks for rejoining us. At this juncture, we will join Thomas Rulak for the news bulletin. Good evening, Thomas.
A pleasant good evening to you, Esther, and good evening to everyone. The head of the West African Examination Council, Liberia's chapter, Tiaboto, had disclosed that the government of Liberia is indebted to the West African Examination Council headquarters in the tune of US 5 million. Boto said it has been agreed by all African countries that a set amount be paid to WAEC headquarters as due that will allow students to form part of various West African examination tests across the West African region. Speaking Wednesday in an interview with Freedom News, Boto said in 2023, WAEC headquarters decided that for all those who did not meet up with their due payments, agreed upon by the headquarters could take a strong stand against them. Boto added that WAEC has decided that countries that did not meet its obligation would not write the pending exam. According to the WAEC Liberia boss in 2023, the government of Liberia paid some of its due to WAEC headquarters to allow its students sit for the exam. He disclosed that 3 countries, including Liberia, are indebted to WAEC headquarters and appealed to the board of WAEC to allow their students sit for the exam, after which they will pay the dues. According to him, Liberia indebtedness to WAEC headquarters amount to over US 5 million, an amount that should be paid before Liberian students sit for this year's examination test. Boto said it is an accumulative debt that Liberia owes WAEC headquarters, adding that it is not a debt that came over the last 2 to 3 years, but a debt that started since the 90s. A man believed to be in his late 30s, identified as Momo Kenneth, has allegedly poured acid on his fiancée in Lower Town Clay District, Bomi County. Speaking to reporters at the Liberian Government Hospital in Tottenham, the victim Hawa Sharif disclosed that she and the alleged perpetrator have been living together for over 5 years, but has always been ill-treating her. She further revealed that as a result of his maltreatment towards her, she could no longer continue the relationship, something she told reporters on Wednesday. The 27-year-old explained that while in her room during the early morning hour of Tuesday, the alleged perpetrator moved to her room she had been sleeping in after his separation and allegedly wasted acid on her entire body. The victim disclosed that though she could not move, but recognized the doers to be her ex-lover and is calling on the government of Liberia to ensure that justice occurred her. She further launched a passionate appeal to humanitarian organizations, the government of Liberia, and well-meaning citizens to come to her aid. According to her, since Tuesday evening, she has been experiencing pains from both her chest and her stomach, something she termed as unbearable. Meanwhile, the alleged perpetrator is reportedly to be on the run while police have intensified their search for him in the county. The latest situation in bombing has been has been greeted with serious commendation from both citizens, human rights group, and civil society organizations condemning the situation. The citizens and groups used the occasion to call on the Ministry of Gender and the Liberian National Police to double up their search and ensure that justice is served to the victims. The Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia, CINTA, has called on President Joseph Boakai to lead by example through access declaration and audit, along with the implementation of anti-corruption measures. The anti-corruption watchdog also emphasized the urgent need for significant action to combat corruption in Liberia and improve the country's standing in global transparency rankings. In addition to declaring his access, CINTA said President Boakai should also muster the courage to audit the government consolidated account and are making Liberians understand the amount left by former President George Weah. Instead of recommendation proffered to the Broadcast Administration on Tuesday, Sintachu its executive director Anna Simiamian noted that the new administration should lead in a way that is transparent and it should focus on the well-being of citizens across the country. Meanwhile, in response to the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index 2023, the Sinta Executive Director stressed the importance of anti-corruption reform in improving Liberia's performance on the CPR. He emphasized that the Boakai administration should demonstrate true leadership in the fight against corruption by appointing individuals with clean and unhindered records, adding that it is also a crucial part of moving the country forward and declaring it in a way that more people will trust the government. Additionally, the Sinta called on the General Auditor Commission (GSC) to conduct timely audit of the inauguration budget expenditure that the government and the government consolidated account. He stressed that it is significant amidst allegation of corruption and misappropriation of funds surrounding the closing balances of previous government of the Coalition for Democratic Change as of January 22, 2024. Several citizens who and abroad are demanding a reshuffle of the Environmental Protective Service following an intruder attempted attack on President Joseph Boakai live on Tuesday. Liberians who called on a local radio show Sky FM expressed serious concern about the incident on Tuesday during the commencement convocation of the United Methodist University on the Monrovia Rawafi International Airport Highway. A video that went viral saw the intruder in a white long sleeve shift and the person of EPA officers. The intruder moved behind the former vice president, who is not the president, and moving closer to his neck. The callers of the show, in their respective tone, expressed frustration and called on the president to immediately dismiss or reshuffle the EPS in an effort of protecting his life. The opposition Coalition for Democratic Change has labeled President Joseph Boakai's statement of adhering 20.5 million in the consolidated account as lies and misleading. President Boakai, in his first annual message to the legislature, denied claims made by former President George Weah of leaving in the country consolidated account 40 million and stated that only $20.5 million were left in the consolidated account. In his annual address to the legislature, President Boakai mentioned that the net international reserve portion reported at the end of December 2023 was US 220 million, but reports of 40 million in the government Liberia consolidated account balance as of January 19, 2024 is not supported by the facts. Responding to President Boakai's statement recently, the chairperson of the former ruling Coalition for Democratic Change, Maba Modu, said that despite President Boakai claims that the state of the nation is in a dearest form, he was unable to offer a policy perception or solution how he intends to rescue the country. The situation, he said, will not work, which the Boakai has promised to work outside of the box in improving the country's economy. According to the CDC party chairperson, the CDC left the state of Liberia stronger than it was when it took over in 2018. The CDC national chairman stressed that the budget deficit must be noted that the fiscal year 2023 budget was recast after actual revenue collection amounted to over US 710 million. Still more news from the opposition. The opposition collaborating political party has highlighted the lack of clear direction on how President Joseph Barker government plans to address the economic challenges. The nation is currently facing various economic issues, including a public debt of over US 2 billion and 18 million budget deficit, a double digital inflation, slugging, and among others. In order to improve the situation, CPP co-chairperson Anthony Laviagu at a press conference in Monrovia on Tuesday emphasized the importance of creating jobs for all employed Liberians, particularly through initiatives like agriculture sectors, reviewing and moving the country forward, microfinance schemes for small businesses, and supporting entrepreneurs through business increasing forms. He called on President Bouaka to prioritize economic and focus on boosting the economy of the country in order to put Liberia on par with other West African nations. Go also emphasized the importance of providing equal access and opportunity for all citizens and moving towards a self-sufficient nation while calling for effective efforts to pull the country's economy, attract investment, and support Liberian farmers, entrepreneurs, businesses, with a focus on prioritizing the interests of Liberia above all. In his first State of the Nation address on Monday, President Bouaka outlined plans for his administration, including regular outlays, the fight against corruption, improving the lives of Liberians, and reintroducing the Liberianization programs. Go also emphasized the need for focus on initiatives that will boost the youth sectors of the country and fighting disadvantaged youth who are taking over the streets of Monrovia. Additionally, he urged the government to establish the War and Economic Crime Code and promote gender equality empowerment, ensuring at least 40% inclusion of women within the cabinet. President Joseph Bouaka has re-emphasized his government commitment to transparency and accountability. As part of said commitment, the Liberian leaders re-echo his pledge to commission a comprehensive audit of the stewardship of previous government. President Bouaka pointed that his government also acknowledged the seriousness of the economic challenges facing the nation and is determined to implement measures that will promote fiscal responsibility. Speaking at the graduation ceremony of the United Methodist University on Tuesday, President Bouaka told the gathering that corruption impedes the development of any country and steals the future generations unborn programs that should benefit them. The Chief Executive Officer of Liberia used the occasion to call for the unwavering support and understanding and active participation of every Liberian in building the country forward. Ambassador Bouaka at the same time renewed his pledge to restore not only the state institution but also the integrity of the country. The University of Liberia has reacted to report on social media claiming that the university has begun charging students $7 per credit hour. The information which sparked mixed reaction within the students community, with students of the University of Liberia as well as parents terming the university decision as an act of returning into the struggling days of the university students. However, responding to the information, the University of Liberia described the information as false and misleading, noting that such decision has not been reached by the university's administration. The UU administration, meanwhile, encouraged students, the public, to remain kind and others to subscribe to the official information regarding academic activities, which the authority of the institution said it always communicated to its official Facebook page, as well as on public issues and private media outlets. The university administration at the same time called on students and staff to look forward to the university as a plan to release its revised calendar for the resumption of classes for the pending second semester of its academic 2023 to 2024 school year. A Liberian political activist has expressed disappointment in the nomination of Councillor Cooper Cry as Minister Designate of the Ministry of Justice. Since the nomination of Councillor Cooper Cry by President Joseph Bouaka, there has been mixed reaction from the public. On January 29th, Front Page Africa reported a story titled President Bouaka MVP in no red flags prior to criminal's nomination for justice. Addressing a press conference Wednesday, Fede Massaquoi said Liberia needs a justice minister that is widely known internationally rather than someone who has a tainted record. According to him, Councillor Cry lacks international connection, and as such, he will not make a better justice minister for the country. Meanwhile, Massaquoi stressed the need for the Liberian National Police to be empowered logistically in order to enhance its operation in tackling crimes and other activities of bad substance within the country. This story just comes in. The National Association of Trial Judges of Liberia 10 annual conference is expected to open this Thursday at the Temple of Justice. The conference, which starts from February 1 to 3, will see the association electing new code of officers to steady affairs of the association. The ambassador of Sweden, Euben Stonk, who delivered the keynote address, while former Chief Justice Francis Kokbo and Associate Yusuf Kaba and Felicia Coleman all attended the program and delivered separate statements. The conference, according to our judicial correspondent, will be held under the theme "The Judiciary and Democracy in Liberia, Safeguarding Democratic Value in the Legal System, especially during and after elections." Meanwhile, the leadership of the National Association of Trial Judges are requesting all accredited delegates and guests to be in attendance for the program. And Liberia Education Minister designate Dr. Charles Jala emphasized the nation's education sector facing complete challenges due to low budgetary support to the sector that is being undermined by quality education. Appearing before the Senate Committee on Education Wednesday for a confirmation hearing after her recent nomination by President Joseph Boakai, Jala expressed concern over the current state of the country education sectors, which she said has been in a flopping situation for many years. She noted that though President Boakai arrested agenda which talk about agriculture, roads, rule of law, education, sanitation, and tourism, aims to give Liberians an advanced education system, but noted that such a goal is impossible without adequate budgetary support. Naming 14 challenges faced by senior sectors and others who serve in government, she said education is one thing that Liberians should look forward to if they are to make better in moving the country forward. Tarajara noted that many teachers are untrained and lack adequate teacher learning material, adding that both students and teachers are forced to learn and work respectively in a way of moving the country forward. Meanwhile, Tarajara has craved the Senate, if confirmed, among other things, to prioritize the sectors by committing at least 20% of the national budget to education if Liberia will be on par with other West African countries in terms of education. Well, Esther, that's it for the bulletin of news. It's back to you for the continuation of Freedom Even News Basket.
He's Thomas Rulak in the news bulletin. It is a regular feature here on the news basket. If you're just joining us, a 45 minutes of news presentation that brings development from Liberia, Africa, and the rest of our world. This is one of the top developments we're following. Liberian students risk denial from writing the 2024 WAEC, that's the West Africa Examination Council exam, as Liberia boss discloses the government, that's the WAEC boss discloses the government of Liberia's indebtedness to the West African Examination Council headquarters in the tune of US 5 million. We now take our first development. The Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia has called on President Joseph Boakai to lead by example through asset declaration and audits, along with the implementation of anti-corruption measures. The anti-corruption watchdog also emphasized the urgent need for significant action to combat corruption in Liberia and improve the country's standing in global transparency rankings. In addition to declaring his asset, Center said that the President Boakai should also muster the courage to audit the government's consolidated account aimed at making Liberians understand the amount left by the former government. In a set of recommendations preferred to the Boakai administration Tuesday, Center through its executive director, Anderson Mamin, noted that the new administration should lead in a way that is transparent and that focuses on well-being or being of the Liberian people. Well, sorry, we cannot lay our hands on our excerpt, but we will definitely get back to it. The opposition collaboration or the opposition coalition for democratic change has labeled President Joseph Boaka's statement of inheriting US 20.5 million in a consolidated account as lies and misleading. President Bouaka, in his first annual message to the legislature, denied claims made by former President George Weah of leaving in the government consolidated account US 40 million and stated that only $20.5 million were left in the consolidated account. Responding to President Bouaka's statement recently, the chairman of the CDC, Moba Malou, said that despite President Bouaka's claim that the state of the nation is in distress, he was unable to offer a policy prescription or solution on how he intends to rescue this situation, except for saying he would think outside the box.
Contrary to President Bouaka's claim that the state of the nation is in distress, even though he offered no policy prescription or solution on how he intends to rescue unquote this situation, except for saying he would think outside the box, the CDC left the state of our nation stronger than it met it. For example, President Bouaka is inheriting, that is, he is inheriting from the CDC-led government that just left power 222.7 billion US dollars in the net international reserve and over 40 million US dollars in the consolidated account as at January 17, 2023, left behind by the CDC-led government compared to the under 7 billion US dollars the CDC inherited when it took power from the Salif Bouaka-led government in 2017. The CDC is appalled that even at this early stage, President Bouaka will seek to mislead the public about the financial situation of our country by disputing the figures quoted by former President Weah during his farewell statement on 21st January 2024, which are available. We challenge President Bouaka to publish the statement of the consolidated account of the period within 48 hours, or the CDC will make public copies of that document. On the question of his accepted comments on the budget deficit, it must be noted the fiscal year 2023 budget was recast after actual revenue collection amounted to 710 million US dollars was achieved. This actual collection represented the highest amount of revenue collected in contemporary Liberian politics. While serving as vice president of this republic, his government never got close to this amount of revenue or never actualized it through all their 12 years. The United Party government, at the close of 2017, concealed several domestic debts, that is, concealed several domestic debts, including $107 million from the IMF through the CBL, $55 million for commercial banks, among others, and willfully failed to recognize these debts as part of the domestic debt stock. This represented a gross understatement of debt stock. Of the 2.2 billion debt stock reported, about 60% was contracted under the United Party regime, agriculture in limbo.
Is the opposition coalition for democratic change chairman Moba Molu there speaking. The Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia has called on President Joseph Boakai to lead by example through asset declaration and audits along with the implementation of anti-corruption measures. The anti-corruption watchdog also emphasized the urgent need for significant action to combat corruption in Liberia and improve the country's standing in global transparency ranks. In addition to declaring his asset-centered said, the president should also muster the courage to audit the government's consolidated account aimed at making Liberia understand the amount left by the former government. Several citizens, home and abroad, are demanding a reshuffle of the Executive Protection Service following an intruder's attempted attack on President Boakai's life. Liberians who called on local radio station Scar FM expressed serious concern about the incident on Tuesday during the commencement convocation of the United Methodist University on the Monrovia Roberts International Airport Highway. A video that went viral saw the intruder in a white long-sleeve shirt amid the presence of EPS officers. The intruder moved behind the VIP with his hand moving across the neck of the president.
There's nothing to joke about. If I were the president, those that were around yesterday should be immediate dismissed. Don't just let them to go, but let them go through a proper investigation to know how that man even trace that particular security guard to reach to him. They should be thoroughly investigated because as security personnel, they should be someone who go back to back. Not all people will say the opposite side, but everyone just turn it back to the president. Change the president, somebody coming from behind. You didn't see the president. The president was there. So we don't have that. Complete this, so we are calling upon the president to immediately, or we're calling upon the Senate not to conference again because it's not qualified. He's supposed to prove it what the Liberian people is going to be, confirmed by the Senate to that.
Look, when I saw that video, now it made me to understand why during Madam Annie Johnson Sirleaf administration, she never allowed any of those guys to come closer to her. All that she had, it were all foreign services. No, Liberia, we are joking. Sometimes I think a lot whether before the president enter that place, what do we have the EPS guy all over that place? They have checked. They are playing fun. They are not ready yet. They are not ready to protect that puppy. Let me tell you, if that thing were real, I believe that particular man that you see over there, there is one thing that I know with him myself. He might not have a bad intention. I should not use the word sedition, but he just want to use that disrespectful manner to say, you know what? They papi and he say he's strong. Well, I will jerk his leg, making mockery out of the poor man. I will lie down on the ground.
Like what we are saying, those guys should have an advanced knowledge. Like I saw not go and tell us, like a day before the president going to that university graduation, you see the television, what is happening here? They tell you no go zone. That's how we are not scared, but we learn that about security. These guys were slumbering. I think if they have to change them or let them send them somewhere for an advanced training, if they cannot need to have more advanced training, other than that, our president was in a jeopardy or in a catastrophe yesterday.
Thus, several citizens home and abroad there demanding a reshuffle of the Executive Protection Service following an intruder's attempted attack on President Bouakar's life. A Liberian political activist has expressed disappointment in the nomination of Councillor Kopa Kra as Minister of Justice. Since the nomination of Councillor Kopa Kra by President Joseph Boakai, there has been mixed reaction from the public. On January 29, Frontpage Africa reported a story titled, President Boakai and VP Ignore Red Flags, Parallel to Criminal Nomination for Justice. Addressing the press conference Wednesday, Philip Masakwe said, Liberia needs a justice minister that the international community can respect rather than the current nominee. Well, we are sorry we cannot lay our hand on that except the head of West African Examination Council Liberia chapter, Dave Bolto, has disclosed that the government of Liberia is indebted to the West African Examination Council headquarters in the tune of US $5 million. Bolto said it has been agreed by all African countries that a set amount be paid to the WIAC headquarters as due that will allow students from the various West African countries to take the exam. Speaking Wednesday in an interview, Bolto said, in 2023, WIAC headquarters decided that for all those who did not meet up with their due payments as agreed upon by the headquarters, WIAC could take a strong stance against them.
Oh yes, it is true that the government of Liberia owes WIAC headquarters an amount in the neighborhood of $5 million USD. Liberia being a member of WIAC is under obligation to contribute towards WIAC's headquarters budget.
Okay.
And as we speak, Liberia pays the least amount. Nigeria pays the highest amount. But what happens is that over the years, previous governments have not been consistent with the payment of the government's obligation to WIAC's headquarters.
Okay.
So this amount has accumulated over the period of time. And if you look at the debt goes as far back as the 90s.
Wow.
From the 90s to to current 2023. 2024, our application to WIAC Ecuador is about $696. If this government does not pay that amount in 2024, that amount will be added to the current term.
He's the head of the West African Examination Council Liberia chapter, Dave Porto, there speaking. Liberia's Education Minister Designate, Dr. Jasso Jalat, emphasized the nation's education sector faces complex challenges due to low budgetary support to the sector that is undermining quality education. Appearing before the Senate Committee on Education Wednesday for her confirmation hearing after her recent nomination by President Joseph Boakai, Dr. Jala expressed concern over the current state of Liberia's education sector over the years. She noted that though President Boakai's arrest agenda, an economy representing agricultural roles and rule of law, education, sanitation, and tourism aims to give Liberians an advanced education system, that noted that such a goal is impossible without adequate budgetary support.
Comment on some of the things that I need to be looking at as relates to support to early primary education. The TTIs and their equipping to teach and provide certifications, overhaul the regulations of schools that are providing training to teachers, and looking at also how do we monitor teachers who have been paid in the rural area to stay in the rural areas and do that which they have been paid to do. Again, as I stated earlier, I think I was answering one of the senator's questions, is the monitoring of teachers can not only rely on CEOs, DEOs. Principals in the schools need to be more accountable. A school report card needs to be generated to gauge performances and who's in the classroom. Disciplinary actions need to be taken against folks who are hired to teach and are not doing what they're supposed to do. So your collective points have been well noted, and will form the review of some of the things that need to be prioritized. Thank you very much.
Distinguished colleague, thank you.
The monitoring of teachers can not only rely on CEOs, DEOs. Principals in the schools need to be more accountable. A school report card needs to be generated to gauge performances and who's in the classroom. Disciplinary actions need to be taken against folks who are hired to teach and are not doing what they're supposed to do. So your collective points have been well noted, and will form the review of some of the things that need to be prioritized.
In closing, the Senate Committee Chair on Education, Senator Nathaniel McGill, thanked and congratulated the nominee for her nomination and presentation, and stressed that the committee will submit its recommendation to plenary to determine either the denial or confirmation of Dr. Jala.
Thank you. You've been here very long. You have exhaustively answered most of the questions. I think this has been a marathon for you. This has been a marathon. This committee has taken you for the last, I think, 3 hours now. You've been sitting here. Thank you. You answered some of the questions. You met with me in my office. We had some prior discussion. I want to thank you for your insight in education. Like I said to you, this committee is not going to be a committee I'll be sitting on. The committee is going to be on its feet. Before we make policy decisions, before we make recommendations, especially when it comes to support financially, we want to go on its feet and see some of the things. And most of the senators have said things that we agree with. We believe that there should be free education. Our young Liberian children, like you said, under Article 6, the government of Liberia is responsible to provide mass education. And we're not just talking about mass education, we're talking about mass and quality education. So I want to thank you. We're going to support you. It is our responsibility to provide the financial support, like you said. And I'm happy that most of the senators here have been given the opportunity to ask you questions. They've shown their passion for education. It is now our responsibility to bring the financial resources to bear on education and see how you, the administrator, will end of the education system of our country. I want to thank you also for making sure that you are giving high attention to our volunteer teachers. We're not only talking about volunteer teachers, we're talking about quality teachers who can be on payroll. How we can make sure the disparity between and among professional teachers are also addressed. I want to thank you.
He's the Senate Committee Chair on Education, Senator Nathaniel Michael there. Speaking earlier was the Liberia's Education Minister Designate, Dr. Jaso Jala there, emphasizing that the nation's education sector faces complex challenges due to low budgetary support. Back to this development, the opposition coalition for democratic change a group under the banner Traffic and Road Safety Network of Liberia has opposed the confirmation of Coleman Gregory Coleman, Police Inspector General Designate Base, citing conflict with the rules of law and good governance. The group is a non-profit organization that focuses mainly on awareness, advocacy, and minimum intervention in the areas of traffic and road safety across the country. Addressing a news conference Wednesday on the grounds of the Capitol building in Monrovia, the Transneld Executive Director, that's the Deputy Executive Director for Operations, Phil Wonto, urged the Liberian Senate to reject Coleman, who was nominated by President Joseph Boakai to the post.
Cases and minimal interventions in areas of traffic and road safety, do hereby pray with the Senate, with the Committee on National Security and Defense, not to confirm nominees for Inspector Generals of the Liberia National Police, Mr. Gregory Coleman. Tasnos is requesting this honorable committee to take said actions on the following grounds. His appointment comes in conflict with the rules of law and good governance. It misled the president into a constitutional trap vis-a-vis his introductions of the Liberia Traffic Management Incorporated management to the president when the president had yet to take a seat officially. President Gregory Coleman knows fully well that the Liberia Traffic Management contract with the Liberian government has not existed because of the legitimacy that is yet to be decided by the Supreme Court. Gregory O.W. Coleman is serving as the face of the Liberia Traffic Management on his recent displays of materials. The LTM brought into the country, the item include car license plates like the ones that is currently being used by the Minister of Transport, duster jeeps, motorbikes, and vests. With the uses of the jeeps and motorbike by the police under the directives of Gregory Coleman, who is yet to be confirmed, knowing fully well that the Liberia Traffic Management Concession contract is enforceable because of the planning court action. Planning court action. How so are we that the license plates will not also be marketed or used? This will have security implications. The police are the first steps in criminal justice procedures. Now that Gregory Coleman is compromised by his association with the Liberia Traffic Management will be.
He's the Traffic and Road Safety Network of Liberia Deputy Executive Director for Operation, Bill Wonto, urging the Liberian Senate to reject Coleman, who was nominated by President Joseph Boakai to the post. Back to this development, the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia has called on President Joseph Boakai to lead by example through asset declaration and audits, along with the implementation of anti-corruption measures. The anti-corruption watchdog also emphasized the urgent need for significant action to combat corruption in Liberia and improve the country's standing in global transparency rankings. In addition to declaring his assets, Center said that President Boakai should also muster the courage to audit the government's consolidated account, aimed at making Liberians understand the amount left by the former government. In a set of recommendations proffered to the Bwakas administration Tuesday, Center through its executive director Anderson Mamen noted that the new administration should lead in a way that is transparent and that focuses on the well-being of the Liberian people.
Not matched their words with deeds in terms of dealing with corruption more concretely and tangibly. That's why we have met the CPR at 32 in 2018, and before he left power, it went down to 25. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf as well took the CPR to 41 under her administration, but then before she left power, it dropped to 32. It means that she declined or she has very little will to deal with corruption, especially in terms of dealing with the culture of impunity. We recommend the following specific and additional actions or measures. One, President Bwaka must show true leadership in the fight against corruption by appointing people with clean and untainted records, as well as declaring and publishing his assets, incomes, and liabilities, and requiring same of his officials. Two, we call on the General Auditing Commission to timely audit the inauguration budget and expenditure, as well as the consolidated account of government in the wake of claims and counterclaims about corruption and misrepresentation of the facts surrounding the closing balance of the CDC-led government as of January 22nd, 2024. We note the welcoming commitment from legislators to declare their assets, incomes, and liabilities. We encourage them to timely do so, open themselves up for audit, as well as make their voting and other processes transparent.
Is the Central's executive director, Anderson Miami, there speaking. A man believed to be in his 30s, identified as Momo Kenneth, has allegedly poured acid on his fiancée in Lower Town, Clay District, Bowman County. Speaking to reporters at the Liberian Government Hospital in Tottenham Burr, the victim, Hawa Sherry, disclosed that she and the alleged perpetrator have been living together for over 5 years, but has always been maltreating her. She further revealed that as a result of his maltreatment towards her, she could no longer continue the relationship, something she told this station. 27-year-old Hawa Sharif explained that while in her room during the early morning hours of Tuesday, the alleged perpetrator moved to the room she had been sleeping in after their separation and allegedly wasted the acid on her entire body. The victim disclosed that though she could not move, but recognized the duo to be her ex-lover and is calling on the government of Liberia to ensure that justice is accorded her. She further launched a passionate plea to humanitarian organizations, the government of Liberia, and other well-meaning Liberians to come to her aid.
Ame, eu que título ati sala ruim. Você não aguenta que bite serve me e vai se me até que tô por finish. Já que tô por lá, e cara, e come, até do dedo mora, ora bem, ora bem, não ingue. Até a minha relationship are me lá, mas sala ruim. Desce e piame, o tole que faz de fundo, e fura e fine, e fala fu, e que me le fala, e se le fu, e para as pore, a coi até aí, o que te vê, a cara até do pore, a coi até aí de I say, why food here be dying? Then I fool is quite getting well me. I say, you food me, I say, what they are so busy. So, try to kill is our fair food. I get all that year for you. I get I say, get money for me to say, but for the say, ha, I don't have money business so they may, I get a money. I show only and before you go out there, you come in here, you feel like the case is say, I will not get any money to pay for his money because I don't get money. If you start today tomorrow, and I get money, he will not demand for me to pay for his money or his food. That's what I was saying, in the evening, I fact, he can't, he speak to me. Valeu, there. She go about setting out. He asked me, I said, I tell you the video, so I've not taken money for a carry, I said it. So he paid the poor money. I start asking me for your money. I say, you know, before you go, you tell me something, and I go, you are. He said, most of the while, I say, no, but then I give him money, I will tell uncle, you can't ask my uncle, say, you know.
She's the victim there who was pouring acid by Her Excellency Momo Kenneth. What if you're just joining us? You've been listening to a 30 minutes of news presentation, 45 minutes of news presentation that brings development from Liberia, Africa, and the rest of our world. We again rejoin Thomas Rulac for the foreign development.
Socialist Harvard Bombard has been arrested after an abuse allegation against him prompted a national outcry. Earlier this month, Bombard and his followers were accused by a popular activist of committing a number of crimes against roughly 200 victims. Dozens of social media users have subsequently posted fresh allegations of social and physical abuse, many using hashtag #StopBoba. Mr. Boba, known for his jet-setting lifestyle, has denied all wrongdoing, according to the BBC. On Wednesday, after Mr. Boba was arrested, his lawyer said the accusations were scandalous and meant to tarnish his good-earned reputation. Well, Esther, that's it for the foreign news.
He's Thomas Rulac taking us home there with the foreign development, a regular feature here on the news basket. Just before we take our leave, a recap of stories we followed. Liberian students risk denial from writing the 2024 West Africa Examination Council exam as WAEC Liberia boss discloses. The government of Liberia indebtedness to the West African Examination Council headquarters in the tune of US $5 million. Liberia National Police intensifies search in Bomi County for a 30-year-old man identified as Momo Kenneth for allegedly pouring acid on his girlfriend in Lower Town Clay District. The plenary of the Liberian Senate commences public hearing for individuals recently nominated by President Joseph Boakai as Senate Pro Tem assures Liberians of proper vetting of nominees. And away from Liberia, Cameroonian socialist Habib Dabod has been arrested after abuse allegations against him prompted national outrage, according to the BBC. And thanks to our news editor, the news director, and all those who helped in making this presentation a success. Thomas Rulac brought us the news bulletin and the foreign development. Madis Dabe Sara control and handle the technical aspect. I'm Esther Daku on behalf of the team. Good evening.